Alrighty, folks, so it's about noon right now on the East Coast, and all the indexes across the board, except for the Dow, are selling off. The Dow's up 0.2%, but we have the Russell down 0.3%, the S&P 500's down 0.2%, and the NASDAQ is down the most, down over 1.1%. So we're going to break down the markets quickly in this video, talk about some stocks that I'm looking at, charts I'm liking, and of course, what I'm looking to do. So if you guys find value, of course, hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to take a sip of your coffee. And to get your free stocks down below, up to 15 stocks for Moomoo and up to 12 stocks from Webull. Feel free to also check out my Patreon if you guys want. All of those are linked down below. And now let's dive into the video. So right now we're seeing a clear collapse under $408 on SPY, which you guys know, you should know. I've been talking about this. This is a big level. It was a big level of support pretty much throughout the entire month of February thus far. We broke under it yesterday as the markets collapsed into the close, and well, we continue to fall today. You guys can see on the intraday chart, we took out the lows from yesterday. The lows from yesterday were right around 405.80, 406, and right now SPY is at 406, but earlier in the pre-market, it was at 404. Again, it took the lows out from yesterday. So by the looks of it, guys, we are well on our way down to $400, which is the main level of support, at least the one that I'm looking at here on the 20-day chart on SPY. If this is able to break, like I've been saying on the channel, guys, if 400 on SPY breaks, we could end up seeing a pretty big pullback, especially if 398 breaks as well, which is right by the 180 SMA here on the 4-hour chart. So we're getting to a point where it's kind of the moment of truth for the bulls. Is this rally going to sustain itself, the rally that the markets have been on at this point since October? Believe it or not, the markets have been rallying since October, guys, and this is the moment of truth. Are we going to see a collapse under 398, 400 to then maybe start going down 375, 380, or are the bulls going to buy this dip up, push us past 420 and ultimately 430, which really is the big level of resistance coming up? 430 is the high back from the middle of August. If that were to break, if the bulls were to break 430, then they can make a legitimate case that this is more than just a bear market rally. But as of now, the fact that we're well under 430, we're starting to fall back to the low 400s, we might break under 400. This might be a trap. This rally could have been a trap this whole time. I mean, it all depends on what happens at 398, 400, at least from my perspective here on SPY. Of course, I'd love to know your thoughts, all your thoughts down below in the comments. And you guys can see Triple Q, this is also starting to tumble, right? We're taking out the lows from yesterday by a long shot. I mean, the lows from yesterday were right around 300, 301. Now we're at 298. In the pre-market, we hit roughly 297, actually barely 297, but we did hit under 298. And now look at this on the intraday chart, guys. We're now on our way, well on our way, Triple Q is, to taking out that low from pre-market, right around 297.96. You guys can see that right here. So this is not looking good for the bulls at all. And to be honest, I would not be surprised if the Dow were to go into the red. Honestly, I would not be surprised if that were to happen. So at this point, Triple Q is getting to a big level of support, right around 295. You guys can see that was actually the triple top high from back in November heading into the middle of December. You guys see it right here. So that's going to be the next test. Also, 295 was the high from the end of January. So if we fail at 295, well, we're probably going to see a gap down to 285, which is right by the 180 moving average on the 4-hour chart. And then if that were to break, and mind you, look, 285 was also the high from the beginning of October, pretty much all throughout October, early November. You guys see that right here, right? Let me zoom in a little bit. Maybe you'll see it a little bit better. If we break 295, mark my words, in my opinion, and this is not for sure going to happen. We don't know exactly. I mean, I'm not a fortune teller, guys, but if 295 were to break, wide open gap down to 285, and that would be the moment of truth for Triple Q, right? If 285 rather were to break, things could get very ugly, in my personal opinion. And look, the VIX is creeping up. VIX is up over 3% right now, continuing to pop over 20 points, and now it's actually breaking out of the moving averages for the first time in a couple months. You guys can see that here on the VIX, pretty distinct pop over that 180 moving average, and now it's at a multi-week high pretty much. So let's see what happens. If the VIX starts creeping up to the mid-20s, guys, that is not going to be the best the best thing for the bulls. Let's put it that way, right? And today, of course, SQQQ is doing well. This is the the bear ETF on the Nasdaq. It's a 3x leveraged ETF. It goes up 3 times what the Nasdaq. QQQ goes down, so that's doing well today. We have energy doing pretty well today across the board. XLE is one that I own that I've been tracking, and we called this out a couple days ago when it was in the low mid 80s, right? Actually more like mid 80s, right around 85, 86. Now it's pushing $90. XLE's up 3% on the day, and we have an inverse head and shoulders clearly playing out, which I called out on Patreon earlier today. Feel free to check the Patreon out. Link down below. We have a portfolio on Patreon we're building. There's charts throughout the day, Discord chat, all for as little as $10 a month. Check it out. Link down below. You guys can see inverse head and shoulders is playing out now. We took the highs out from earlier this month. To me, this looks like it wants to go low mid 90s at least, guys, which if you pull the 4-hour up on XLE, low mid 90s, well, that's been resistance for quite some time, for a couple months. If we do ultimately break $95 on this thing, we could be going 100 plus, which honestly I've been waiting for a couple months at this point, more than maybe just a couple months. Let's just put it that way. So let's see what happens at $95 on XLE here. Let's see what else is moving today, guys. Not much. We have Starbucks, which is up a little bit. Looks like it's continuing the trend here. It's trying to break out of 107.50. It's trying to break out of that 50 SMA here. So if we do see that, maybe a move to 110.12, maybe higher, that could be in the cards for Starbucks. We also have Nucor trying to continue the uptrend here. I mean, it's barely moving up on the day, up 0.3%, but I guess any green in the midst of a red day like this is good. So let's see if this pops in the mid 160s here, maybe back to 180, maybe mid-low 170s. We'll see how that goes. Activision's up a little bit. Chewy's up a little bit on the day. Let's take a look at what's selling off. Look at this, guys. AMC is down almost 11% today, pretty much collapsing back under the moving averages. Looks like it's back in the $4 range, guys. Looks like AMC's little 2-3 week stint, maybe more like a month rally, it's pretty much over. It went from $3.50 to $4 roughly, all the way up to almost $7.50. Now it's back under $5 a share. Not looking that great here on AMC. Airbnb is also selling off about 6.77%. This is one that has earnings coming up, I believe, next week. On the 14th. What is that? Monday, Tuesday, whatever day that is. We have Airbnb reporting earnings, and let's see here. Shares of why is the stock going down? Is there a reason why? I'm not really seeing anything as to why it's in particular why it's selling off 7%. Pretty big sell off here for Airbnb, but it is selling off 7% nonetheless. And maybe we do find support anywhere here around 98, 100, $102, right around the 180 moving average on the 4-hour. There could be maybe a relief rally here, especially if earnings come out better than expected. Maybe guidance is decent. There could be a rally on this stock that's already pretty oversold right now heading into the report. Let's see what else. Tesla, look at that. We'll talk more about Tesla later. I'll make a dedicated video to it. But Tesla right now is selling off 5.6%. We have CRM down 4%. Beyond Meat, Netflix. Let's pull Netflix up. I actually haven't covered that in a couple of videos, I feel like. Okay, look, this is actually good. Netflix ran up to about 385-ish, which we've talked about on the channel before. If I pull the 3-year up, you guys can see, 400 was the gap that I told you all it could fill, potentially. 390 to 400. Now it got pretty close to that, 385, 390. Now we're pulling back. Netflix is down 3% so far on the day, and it looks like it's going to come down here maybe a little bit more to the 180 SMA, maybe around 330, 335, 340. That's where it could be coming down to here on the 4-hour chart, which honestly, that could be one worth looking at. This one looks pretty good, honestly, guys. As a potential buy the dip candidate or an oversold stock here heading into next week. Let's see what else is selling off here. Anything crazy? We have Visa down a little bit. Tencent, Netflix. We just said Netflix. SoFi's down about 1.3%. Let's pull SoFi up and see what's going on here. This is one that we called out. I mean, it didn't take a rocket scientist to tell you it was overbought and in need of a pullback. I mean, it's probably it pulled back already. It might come back even more. And we'll see now what the bulls are made of. Are they going to buy this dip up right around, these old levels of resistance, now supports, right around 630 to 650? Is that going to hold? or are we just going to collapse back to the mid-low fives, maybe back towards that moving average? What's going to happen? It's all up in the air. We shall see, guys. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap up the video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. Get your free stocks from Moomoo and from Webull, link down below. And check out the Patreon. If you guys want to be a part of the Patreon portfolio, you want to join the Discord community, you want to see my charting throughout the day, you want more access to me throughout the day, all that's on Patreon down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.